Since ancient times, sacred mountains have had a mysterious allure for billions of people around the world. Legends and contemporary reports tell of the extraordinary experiences that people have had while visiting such places. Different sacred sites have the power to heal the body, enlighten the mind, and inspire the heart. Stories of sacred sites revealing themselves to human beings are recounted in many myths and legends connected to holy places. Numerous sacred sites and places of power may be found around the world. Turkey, for example, is a country that boasts magnificent mountains and forests, including a sacred mountain volcano called Mount Agri or Mount Ararat, which is 5,137 meters tall. Mount Ararat, together with its glaciers, geological formations, and snow-covered meadows, has an alluring, almost magical appearance. A volcanic mountain, Ararat is covered by an ice cap that extends from 4,300 meters to 5,200 meters. Known to locals as Agri Dagi, which is Turkish for Mountain of Pain, Ararat is not easy to access. Located in eastern Turkey, close to the borders of Armenia and Iran, and just 240 kilometers from Iraq, the region is politically volatile and often dangerous. Much of the area forms part of a military zone, making exploration of the area extremely difficult. Agri Dagi is a volcanic mountain made up of basalt, which changes to andesite lava at around 4,000 meters. At the summit there is a glacier, and on the eastern slope, Saida Bulak Ridge can be found, together with Little Ararat or Kukuk at 3,896 meters. Today there exists a relationship between the two ancient ways of life that still prevail in the Middle East, villager and pastoral nomad. Each of these modes of living is rooted in a particular physical environment. Villagers are subsistence farmers in rural areas where dry farming or irrigation is possible. In this generally dry environment, the villages are located near reliable water sources and cultivatable lands. They are usually made up of closely related family groups, with many fields owned by an absentee landlord. Villagers typically live in closely spaced homes made of mud and brick or concrete blocks. Due to the fact that land for growing fodder is often in short supply, villagers keep only a small number of sheep and goats and rely, in part, on nomads for pastoral produce. Until the early 1950s, more than 80% of Turkey's inhabitants lived in villages. The villages of southeastern Turkey are predominantly Arab and Kurdish. Tribal organization, the grouping of several patrilineages claiming a common historical ancestor, remains important in some Kurdish villages. That said, the political autonomy once enjoyed by tribal leaders was usurped by the central government during the 20s and 30s. Tribal leaders who retain local influence do so because they are large landowners. Large landholdings are typical of the region. In most villages, one or two families own most of the arable land and pasturage. The remainder is divided into small plots owned by several families. The poverty of most villages compels them to enter into economically, politically, and socially dependent relations with the wealthier landlords. Traversed by numerous rivers, Turkey's mountainous landscape means that many of its watercourses are bounded by dramatic, sheer drops in the forms of gorges and canyons, punctuated by waterfalls along the way. The mountainous nature of the country has influenced its cultural evolution. Pastoral nomads are desert people who migrate through the arid lands with their livestock, following in the trails of rainfall and vegetation. The nomads provide villagers with livestock products, including live animals, meat, milk, cheese, hides and wool, desert herbs and medicines. As the historical capital of major Christian and Muslim empires, and a land where the world's three monotheistic religions have long coexisted, Turkey has a rich cultural and religious heritage. Given the historical ties that the region has with different religions, whatever their faith may be, visitors to Turkey find much to discover, with the country boasting a plethora of superb mosques, churches and synagogues. Village life starts very early, usually before sunrise. After cleaning and tidying up the house, the animals are taken care of. Milking the sheep or cows and eating breakfast are early morning tasks to be completed before the serious work begins. Only after all of this do children go to school and adults to the fields to work. The magic of the Turkey experience is better realised with local guides, who transport visitors through an adventure they will never forget. Breathtaking natural beauty and magnificent historic sites enrich the visitor's understanding and appreciation of this inspirational country and its culture. While not true in all cases, a large percentage of the world's major holy sites are found in locations that are, or once were, places of great visual beauty. Such sites are often found where there are unusually shaped mountains or rock formations, or in elevated places with stunning views, waterfalls, colourful mineral springs and geysers. They are also often found at the meeting point of rivers, or at lakesides, crescent-shaped bays, or on lake islands. They are also found in luxurious forest groves, or at the entrances of caverns and grottos. The rarity and beauty of such places have affected human beings since the dawn of time, arousing within them feelings of awe, reverence, inspiration and peace. The halo of legend and historic tradition with which the mountain is surrounded invests it with mystic sanctity. Three major world religions, Christianity, Judaism and Islam, believe in the story of Noah and his ark, and reports of ark sightings in this region have been numerous. Witnesses often describe an old, wooden structure sticking out of the snow and ice near the summit of Mount Ararat. The story of Noah's Ark is recounted in the book of Genesis. It says that God, on seeing how corrupt the earth had become, decided to bring floodwaters upon the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. God is said to have told Noah, an honourable man, to build an ark 450 feet, or 137 metres, long, 75 feet or 23 metres wide, and 45 feet or 14 metres high. Noah was instructed to fill the ark with 2 of every species that lived on the earth. It reportedly rained for 40 days and 40 nights. According to the Bible, roughly 7 months later, the waters receded and the ark came to rest. The eastern Anatolian region is marked by some of the most striking examples of Turkish culture and architecture. The villages are few and far between, but on every hilltop and in every open space, remains of old castles, picturesque monasteries and churches can be found. In some places, whole towns still stand, for this country, which is now so thinly inhabited, was once highly civilized and well populated. The Ottoman-era palace, Ishak Pasha Saray, was built in 1685 by Kolak Abdi Pash. More of a complex than a palace, this site is the second administrative campus after the Topkapı Palace in Istanbul, and is the most famous of the palaces built in recent decades. The palace, which was built on a hill at the side of a mountain, is one of the most distinguished and magnificent examples of 18th century Ottoman architecture. As such, it is extremely valuable in art history terms. The complex consists of the following sections: exterior facades, first and second courts, the men's quarter, the mosque, the soup kitchen, baths, a harem section, a hall for ceremonies and entertainment, arch gates, pantries, an ammunition room, the mausoleum, the bakery, and dungeons. The property is characterized by its combination of Ottoman, Persian, and Seljuk architectural styles. The nomadic tribes of Central Asia were converted from the shamanism of their ancestors to Islam by the Arabs of Persia. The Seljuks were responsible for converting a large percentage of the native people of Anatolia. Today, although modern Turkey is a secular republic, 98% of the country's population is Islamic. The main division in Islam exists between Sunni and Shiite Muslims. The Shiites believe that Ali, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, and his successors were divinely ordained caliphs. Although they believe in the Prophet Muhammad and the Quran, their religious practices vary substantially from that of the Sunnis. Acceptance of monotheism is the most important facet of Islam. God is one, omnipresent and omnipotent, pervading all aspects of life. Muhammad stresses God's everlastingness, as well as his loving, bountiful and forgiving nature. God had 99 names, reflecting his many attributes. Muslims believe that God sent many human messengers to teach the world his ways, including Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses and Jesus. Muhammad was the last and greatest of these. Cinvit's castle is located near Kale Kulo village, about 20 kilometers southeast of Tuttak. Although the exact date of its construction is unknown, the castle was supposedly built in the 4th century by Urartu as a small defensive site. It was constructed on a mound of steep rocks, at the middle of which there are temples and caves. On the hill of the castle sits an old, 2-story mansion known as Pasha Castle. There is also a mosque called Safi Mosque. Art and architecture emerged from humanity's experience of and reverence for the sacred. The earliest community-erected structures were shrines, where people gathered to venerate the powerful spirits of the earth and the heavens. And the first art, be it dance, painting or sculpture, was an attempt to invoke those spirits, so that they might become more accessible to humans. As people experienced the spiritual and therapeutic powers of sacred places, their art and architecture embodied and reflected the profundity of those experiences. The impressive panorama of Mount Ararat, its inaccessible height and deep abysses, has had a great influence on Armenians and Turks, rendering the site an object of cult and mythology. The region is rich in fascinating architectural monuments and archaeological ruins, as well as modern cities.